Okay. Hi guys. Hang on, I gotta adjust this light here. And I'm sorry, I know that I'm late. That is just because I'm crazy. Hi everybody. I'm gonna put some milk on as you guys get in here. So I'm gonna be wiping my face off a lot today. So I want to make sure that I have some, I don't get like dry. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, while y'all are coming in here, invite people. You can share this to your groups if you want to. Oh, I have some eyeshadow on. I don't need to rub over that. Anyway, and I am so excited for this class today, you guys. Like, sorry, here I am rubbing all over my face and my mouth. It's gonna be so fun, and I'm so excited to see you. This is has been such a fun experience. The beauty school just has been so awesome. I've heard such great feedback from everybody, and I'm just really excited to share this with you guys. I'm kind of nervous, I'm not gonna lie. It doesn't ever go away, I feel like, not for me. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Louisa Griffith, and if you haven't heard of me, and you've been in the same building with me, you probably have heard me. So I'm kind of a, hi, hey guys, hello. I am just, I'm a mom of 4 boys, so I have a really crazy life. It's super exciting. My husband and I live in Utah. We just moved here this year. I'm loving it, so great. And I am, let's see, here we go. I'm gonna bring up my notes here. I have a lot to cover today, so I'm going to try to, I guess probably try to hold questions until the end. But I don't want you to forget what you were asking, because there's definitely always questions that come up with stuff like this. So feel free to ask, and I'll probably just swipe away comments so that my brain can focus, because that will be an issue. So anyway, thank you guys so much for jumping on here. Teresa, that's so cool. 4 boys, it's crazy, you guys. They are 12, ranges of 12 to 2. So I have a 10-year span there, and life is just always really exciting and hectic. I am just a total color enthusiast. I love colors so much. I am a makeup artist, and I am can you guys hear me okay? I know it's echoey in here in my bathroom, but it's the only place I can lock both doors and make sure that nobody comes in, so. Anyway, I went to hair school, so I'm a cosmetologist also, but I don't really do, that was really my obsession for color kind of came before that, and I've just always loved it so much. And I have found that one of the most powerful and awesome words in, ever is why. And that's what really leads people to discover things and understand things and be able to really grow your passions, grow your talents, grow your experiences. And so that's something that I've always, that's what really caught me with color in the beginning when I was learning about colors, or when I was understanding makeup in general, because I've always loved makeup. I found that certain things worked where certain things didn't, and I just wanted to know why. So when Kara came out with her first line of mascara, I jumped on that right away. I was so excited about it because it really spoke to me so much. And I really, it just blew my mind. It was so unique, and I just couldn't get enough of it. So okay, so this is an in-depth class, and this is an advanced class. So before I start, I really want to impress upon you that it's a specialty class. I'm probably going to read a lot, because that way I'm looking down and I'm not so nervous. I'll try not to make it boring. But this is for those times that are special situations. This is not going to be everybody, and for the most part, the really awesome thing about mascara is that, and we'll get more into that later, is that you don't have to worry about all of these things all of the time because it takes care of a lot of them. So troubleshooting is the exception, okay? The rule is that mascara is amazing and it always is just, I personally don't feel like there is anyone that it doesn't, that I can't, there's anyone that's just broken and it just won't work for them. I think that it's just the approach and just knowing what is going to work and why. If you don't know why it works, then sometimes getting to what is harder, okay? So I know a lot of you are just naturals and you know what to put on someone when for this and that, you have experience and all of that, but when you come across something, it's kind of nice to know why. You know, you might know that it's really great to put this color on someone that has this issue, but knowing why is really what brought me to just teaching my team. In the beginning, they were saying, hey, help me color match. And I'm like, okay, awesome. You know, this for this person for that person. But really what happened was they really started asking me why. You know, well, why would you recommend that color for this person? I wouldn't have guessed that. And I think you all have thought that at one time or the other. Like, you know, it was so bizarre because I thought that she was white peach and really amber worked and I just don't know why. So this is the why, so that you can have these tools. So when you do come across that, you know, one every so often, that you're not nervous at all and you know that you have the tools to troubleshoot and to go through these things, okay? So I'm gonna start off by explaining just why mascara, why it's so incredible and why it works over so many other things. So the mascara difference is, everybody knows, it's that glow, right? It's that, and I'm not wearing any foundation today, as you can tell, and I'm getting patchy red things because I'm nervous. Okay, anyway, so I am just so in love with it because the idea of it is, you know, basically when you're going into the very basics of it, you're wondering, you know, why contouring? Why is contouring great? Why is it, you know, it's not a fad. Kara said that before. And the reason why is because contouring is just an advanced form of, you know, really getting to what we want. We want that glow. We want that look, okay? So as we see things, oftentimes what we see is that yellow, that's light, okay? That's what the sun, that's what our lights are around. It's that yellow glow. If you have that white is really, white's not a color. So if it's too white, that's not really going to have that attractive, healthy look. So obviously, you know, people worry about things being too yellow. I know sometimes people will look at some of the colors and just like, oh my gosh, that's gonna be so yellow. But the truth is that we all have so much pigment in our face, even someone as white as I am, we all have a lot of pigment in our face and in our skin. And so having those colors mixed in there to counteract those colors, to complement those colors, and then really get to that yellow color is what we're looking for, that light, glowy brightness. So light brings forward and dark pushes back. So therefore there should be light where you want to focus and you know, that yellow color should be where you want to focus. And then the dark where you want to, the contour is for contrast. It's to bring out that yellow even more, right? Because if we just did that bright all over our face, we would just look flat. And that is traditional foundation, okay? So, you know, show of thumbs up or whatever, who used to use one color foundation and be like, okay, I just put on my cover up and I'm good. Who used to put white eyeshadow on? I did that. I think we all did that. You know, the big like crayons, right? And we just color that white all over. You know, well, guess what? We all look like had our eyes closed because you're putting it on your lid and it's bringing your eyelid forward and closing your eyes. You're not attracted to that white. Everything that you do in makeup is contouring. It's just the basic rules of it. It really is. Even with your eyelashes, where you put liner at the base of your eyelashes, and then you have the feathery look up here of your lashes, that is to give it dimension. Even with my brows, you put the darker color, right here, and that darker pulls back, therefore bringing the lighter up here forward, and it gives the appearance of more full looking brows because it pulls the attention to this lighter part up here and it gives it dimension. So that is the purpose of contouring. And everything to do with that, with makeup, is highlighting and contouring. Mascara is different because it's a paint by number or color by number, highlighting and contouring one layer. Okay, so if you're thinking about, your old routine, or even just maybe not your old routine, but routines that you've seen, even routines that are very popular right now, the first thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna prime. Next thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna color correct, right? And everybody's seen, for starters, not everybody needs to color correct, okay? Whenever I talk about these things, everybody's like, I have so much red, I have so much, my eyes, my under eyes are just so purple. And I think everybody's just really hard on their selves and their features, and so they're just drawing attention and thinking, oh, this is like the worst thing ever. So again, this is the exception and not the rule. And for most people, one or two highlights is going to be great. But this is about when it just doesn't work, right? So you would do color correction. You've seen people put red, green, blue. You've seen all of that on YouTube and Instagram. Then you would do foundation and or concealer as well. Then you're gonna highlight, and they're using usually something that's pretty yellow or pretty white, light color, very light color up in these triangular shapes, or at least in the triangle of light. When I was first doing makeup and I was a little girl, I would take concealer and I would put it right here under my eyes, and I would just do right here. Well, I mean, that's a big problem because then I have all of this light just right here, and then I have the white right here, and it's like, it just makes your eyes disappear. So that's your traditional type of foundation, and that can work for people, but this is a one-step highlight where you get all of those things in one. And that's what blew my mind, was like, oh my gosh, sometimes I don't need primer because it's a cream foundation, so it's not going to oxidate. So if it's oxidizing, it's gonna turn, that's where you see like that yellow, orangey look. It's not going to slough off and not bend with my skin. So lots of times I don't need primer. You should always try things without primer first, because sometimes primer can actually mess it up. I don't need, all the time, I don't need a color correction. I don't need a concealer. I don't need a highlight. I have it all in one. I don't need a foundation. And when I first started Maskcara makeup, I remember contacting Kara through messages and just being like, hi, which foundation are you using? And she was like, eventually like, I'm not using a foundation. And it just blew my mind. I was like, so wait, okay, so there's gonna be places on my face that I'm not gonna put product. Like, there will be holes where there's not gonna be I really felt like everything had to be an even layer. And once I realized, and once I saw, and I'm gonna probably not use my own color. Look what my kid did to this is my kid, not my dog. He chewed on my detail hack brush. Anyway, I'm probably not gonna be using my colors all the time here because I want this to really show up. And also because, where are my colors? Just kidding, here they are. But when I realized that she was taking a highlight color and going like that, and like this, and then going, you know, with a perfector. Where's my perfector? This isn't wet, so it's not gonna work. And just being able to like blend it out, and it was already brightening things so much that I couldn't even conceive the fact that she wasn't using. See how just even that little tiny lift, even though I wiped most of it off with my stuff here. Okay, you guys, you're just gonna have to bear with me 1 second. I'm gonna wet this perfector or it's not gonna work. I always forget to wet my perfector. Okay. Wet that puppy and then squeeze it out. I really should, Whitney. Whitney says I should throw that in the garbage. I don't think the garbage can handle it. Okay, so when I saw examples of, like, I mean, even look at that, just those little swipes of just a little bit of this makeup. And that's the beauty of having a ultra pigmented cream-based product, is that just those little touches made such a difference. I mean, I remember seeing like models that were like stripe, you know, stripe here and there, and then blending it out. And that's okay, you guys. Sometimes I really feel like we're trying too hard to make this traditional foundation and cover every single spot on our face. And that's not going to give you, if you want to cover every single spot on your face, then you're going to have issues, because not all the time, but you'll probably have more issues, because if you look at my face, naturally I have shadows here, so it's darker. I have shadows here, so it's darker. I have shadows here, so it's darker. My face is not one color. So if I'm going to try to cover all of the contours of my face, I'm going to need a darker color. And then I'm defeating the purpose of a highlight and having all of that brought through. So sometimes I feel like when we're looking to like color match and stuff like that, and that'll be covered more by Savannah, and that was gone over by Rachel, and it's going to be so great. But when we're looking to color match, we're thinking like, you know, you've got to have this one color, and you're going along the jawline here and trying to make this part match. Well, guess what? This part like is supposed to recede. You're not supposed to see, you don't want to bring out that. You're trying to pull focus to your features, to that, your natural beauty. So you're not going to find a color that's going to look good here and all over here, or even all up here. This is, for most part, it needs to be one layer. You don't have to do more than that. And then you're gonna put the extra pop under your eyes, okay? So I just wanted to go over that really quickly, because I want you to understand that lots of color, people will feel like color correction is needed a lot of times, but it's because we're kind of losing the essence of mascara, which is the simplicity. One layer, it's light, it floats on your skin and melds so nicely, it's flawless looking, and it's just so brightening and lovely, instead of it being plaster on all the color, the highlight for like a foundation. Then we're contouring, then we're highlighting. You're just doing the same thing as it was before. This is why mascara is amazing. This is what the core of it, and why it is the best makeup ever, okay? So color correction, so you have all that stuff built in with mascara, but color correction is often needed by certain people, but essentially what the highlights are meant to do all on their own, and only special circumstances call for darker, more matching colors, okay? And if you're using a darker color and you're more fair, you're gonna have to color correct to get the brightness that you want, okay? So that is kind of, just make sure that you have the right balance of that. Some people need a darker color. You don't wanna have dark colors. You don't wanna have a line. You don't wanna have your face look darker than your neck. So then you're gonna end up color correcting anyway and adding extra steps. For some people, that means, like I said, only one highlight or two highlights, but covering your face with color correction, it's directly connected to color science, okay? So Color science and the color wheel, I'm just going to briefly touch on this stuff too, because this is the why, you guys. This is like the awesome why part here, okay? So I just want you can screenshot this or something. It's not a great picture for you for this. I will share this with you guys in below or whatever. But this is just a very basic color wheel. Very, very basic. I'm gonna have to swipe these comments, okay? So a very basic color wheel, right here, you have in a pattern here, right? You have, like in the first fan, you have what? Your primary colors. Can you guys see that okay? I guess I can't tell you if you can see it or not. Or you can't tell me if I'm not looking at your comments, but you have your primary colors. Everybody knows those. Those are red, yellow, and blue. And then you have your secondary colors, which are your primary colors mixed, right? Red and yellow, sorry, I did that backwards. Red and yellow make orange. Red and blue make violet. Blue and yellow make green. So primary and secondary colors, there's 6. It's basic. And you know what else? Like, it's really exciting. And I'm always telling my team that, like, it's not scary, it's exciting. It's not complicated, it's exciting. Don't look at this and be like, oh my goodness. Just, I would say that the rule of thumb for that is knowing your primary and your secondary colors. That's all, okay? And you can work from there. So color correcting is going again for that light, for that yellow, and in that basic form of the color wheel with those 6 colors, primary and secondary, each primary color has a complementary, I guess I wasn't done showing you guys that, it has a complementary secondary color, okay? So your primary color on there, red, yellow, and blue, your complementary colors are going to be, in their most basic form, they're going to be the ones that are directly across the color wheel, okay? To every primary color, there is a complementary secondary color. So again, for red, it's green. Think Christmas, okay? For yellow and purple, think like the Lakers. That's why they use those colors. They're not, this isn't like, by just like, woo, I think this is gonna be great. Like, this is literally a science. They use that because it's eye-catching, it looks good together, you know, and you're gonna find that as you look through things, you're gonna see like, hey, those are complementary colors. That's why it looks good. Think about your eye colors. You know, if you have blue eyes, what is going to look good right here is going to be like those golden, warm, orangey, browns, you know, those rusty colors. And that's really going to bring out that really beautiful blue that you have. Okay, if you have, nobody has purple eyes, I don't think. If you have green eyes, it's going to be those rusty reds, those deep reds. You know, think something like Zion and that kind of stuff. If you have, sorry, what am I trying to say now? Anyway, so I lost my train of thought, but that's the same principle, that they look good together, and it just works really, really well. Now, this is the kicker, and right back to everything. If you mix complementary colors together, it neutralizes colors, okay? So if I take red and green, which are complementary colors across each other from the color wheel, and I mix them together, they're going to neutralize each other. So they're gonna turn brown, basically. Think of how many colors of brown there are. When I have brown eyes, so when I started doing makeup and everybody was like, what colors are good for blue eyes? What colors are good for green eyes? I was like, every color. I don't understand. Because I basically hit the neutral jackpot of, I have so many colors. Have you ever, when you were a kid, I've said this before, did you ever take all of the colors in the crayon like box and you're like, I am gonna make something that is like gonna look like a unicorn and it's just gonna be amazing, and you like scribble it all together and it turns like poo brown and you're like, what is this? Because they all neutralized each other, okay? So that is why mascara highlights work, because even though the base of everything and at the base of everything has yellow or is yellow, they also have other colors added to it, which is why it works as a color corrector. Yeah, she says watercolors, first grade. That's why it works as a color corrector, because if I have really super red undertones, then something that has a bit of a green tinge to it is going to neutralize the red, okay? Turn it to a tan, a light tan, obviously. And then what's going to be left over is the yellow, which is what we want. That's that light, okay? So I have a friend, a very good friend from childhood, and we were doing mascara together. I was teaching this class, and she was like, "What is my color?" And for her highlighting purposes, she would never be something darker than amber, but she was kind of laughing and joking about the fact that she does have a very green cast to her skin. So what we needed to do for her, is find a highlight that was made up of, that was kind of orange, because that means that red, red and yellow make orange, right? The red was going to counteract the green, and what was going to be left over was the yellow, and it was going to look bright. So her color is mango because she has that green hue, that green cast, and that just makes you look gaunt. And nobody wants their face to look green. So that's the long and short of it. So I hope that makes sense. I know it can seem a little overwhelming, but again, 6 colors, and this is why. So I want you to, this isn't your homework, but I do want you to take a look at the color wheel, a very basic one, and just kind of keep those in mind. So that way it's easy for you to pick out colors when you're picking out eyeshadows. It's easy for you to pick out colors when you are dealing with color correction. Okay, so let's see. So another thing is that we're going to start with other things with color correcting, but I'm just going to finish up this part. Troubleshooting, but I'm just finishing up color correcting. So there is, I think a lot of people, we kind of forget that we'll say, I have a lot of pink in my face. So you're thinking red, okay? So you think automatically that you have red undertones, or you have all this redness. But most people with a lot of pink in their face actually have cooler undertones, more blue undertones. And so, because if you have blue, the primary color blue, and then you have the primary color red, and you're missing that yellow, okay, which would turn the blue into green, those mixtures, then what it's doing is you're missing one of those primary colors. And so you're missing that warmth. The blue is the cool, the yellow is the warm. So that is why ultimately mascara, right? That's kind of what the topic obviously is gonna just always come to for me. So don't automatically think pink, I have warmth, you probably actually have cool undertones and you need to add some warmth, okay? I will get to extreme dark circles. Okay, so a really easy way to figure out if you're cool or warm is going to be covered with Savannah, I guarantee it, so I won't go over that. But that's the basic, because we're just talking about color corrections. So we're going to talk about our first troubleshooting is going to be a really common color problem, which is redness. That's a lot of people talk about redness. And yes, you want to try to use a highlight with a more neutral undertone. So when going back to this color wheel here, you have your blue is your cool, your yellow is your warm, okay? This over here is going to be more warm because there's yellow in that, right? So to counteract that redness, there's no, like I said before, I was talking about pink, there's no green there to counteract that. So you're gonna want something like June. June is a really good example for a green, one that has some green in it. And people will be scared of June and they'll look at it and they're like, this is a green highlight. Like, I'm not putting that on my face. But what it's doing is it's adding in that warmth, because green is made of blue and yellow. It has that yellow in it. So you're gonna take the green's gonna neutralize the red, you're gonna be left over with yellow, okay? So redness is, for redness, there's lots of times it's going to be just a regular highlight, just one highlight, you can put it over there. And the reason why, I feel like I'm getting ahead of myself. The reason why one highlight can usually be enough is because the coverage level. So it just covers up the red. You don't need color correction just because you have pink cheeks. For the most part, your highlight is going to have enough coverage in it and enough pigment. It's just gonna cover it nicely and it's going to neutralize it and you're gonna be fine. So I'm talking about people with extreme redness, okay? So the next part of extreme redness is going to be, let's see, neck and face difference, okay? So there's a lot of different categories with redness in the face, and they're not all the same. So neck and face being different colors, I was gonna kind of show you guys this, but I feel like, I don't know if it's gonna be that helpful because I don't have that problem that bad. So let's talk about that. Everybody's face and neck are different colors, okay? That's just like pretty much goes without saying, unless you are, you know, really like the lucky one and you naturally have like, so for the most part, it's gonna be that way. The light hits your face a lot more than it hits your neck. Your neck is shadowed over by your face, so it's gonna appear darker. Again, we're not trying to highlight to bring your neck forward or it's going to look very weird. So it's okay to have bright, lighter up here and right here, depending on where you want your highlight, that doesn't match your neck. That's okay. For the most part, when you look at the models in magazines and even mascara models, they're gonna have brighter colors up here that aren't gonna match their neck. So don't freak out about it just because of that. For the most part, the rule of thumb is gonna be get your highlight on, brighten up, and then throw on bronzer on your neck and around your face. It's gonna close up those seams. It's gonna make everything seamlessly flawless, and you're not gonna have to worry about that. I'm talking about extreme differences, okay? Your neck is super red and their face is super fair, and that happens, okay? So when you're dealing with someone like that, there's only a couple of things that you can do. And it's pretty much the same for a red neck as it is for a more tan neck. And the first thing that you can do is for a tan difference, if it's just a tan difference, then the obvious answer is to put tanner on your face or to put tanner on your neck or to, use a bronzer, a spray bronzer, whatever it might be. That's gonna help your highlight to pop more anyway. You're gonna love it. Tanner can really even out skin tones, make you look a lot more even, and that's great. But, or using Bella is a great tool, okay? So you have to help that with the tan. Now, when it comes to the red, obviously, I don't wanna make my face more red to match my neck. So closing the gap is important. The first option is you can use something like Tomas, which I'm gonna use that right now. I'll do that. I have this with me. I really like one I've gotten from Norvell. This will make it look like I'm not, see, look you guys, I'm getting red in my chest so that I can show you. Isn't that, so I'm not actually nervous, I'm just performing really well. Okay, so here we go. So when you're dealing with something like that, putting this on, you're gonna see that it just evens it out. And a lot of people say, well, people don't wanna have to put tanner on their face all the time or tanner on their neck all the time. Well, I beg to differ. I bet that someone who has a really drastic difference in their face and their neck is gonna wanna do something about that. So there's nothing wrong with, for the most part, recommending someone use something to help with evening that out. The next option is if your neck is extremely red and your face is extremely fair. So if your face is red, we already talked about that, using something that has a neutral base, like a green base, like June. Obviously, June's not the end all be all, but like June. Moonlit has a little bit of a neutral base. Aura has more of a neutral base. Those things will help counteract that redness a lot. The reason why Sunlit still works for someone who has redness is because it covers it up beautifully, and that's all that matters, right? It just covers it. You just don't need more than that. But if you're really dealing with that red face, that's going to neutralize it and make it look great. If you're dealing with a red neck, I don't want to make my face match my neck. So the first thing that you want to do is you can suggest to bring the highlight down on the neck. Okay, so bringing a highlight down on the neck, and that will happen if you have a really big red face and neck, and then you put June all over their face, their face is gonna look great and their neck is gonna be super red. So bringing that down onto their neck is great. Some people feel like they don't wanna do that, and if you don't wanna do that, then that's fine. Spray tan your face, use Bella, use a bronzer, use a facial bronzer. You can pick it up at Sally's or, Target or something like that. And that's going to really help counteract that and bring it closer. Because I have a red face, we're going into hyperpigmentation now. Hyperpigmentation is when someone will have all of this pigment in their face and will kind of mistaken it for the color of their face. Okay, so you'll think, she's so red, she's so dark, I'm gonna put her in mango. She's so red, she's so dark, I'm gonna put her in amber. So when it comes to hyperpigmentation, you really need to look for outlying colors because they might be really, really fair, and all you need is that counteraction of the colors to really just make the face the color that it's supposed to be. If you go and throw mango on someone who should be, without hyperpigmentation, should be white peach, it's gonna look really crazy. And it won't look right, and it's not gonna sit right, and it's going to deepen the face, it's going to make it dusky, and that's just not that bright look, okay? So hyperpigmentation, again, just as a recap for that, it's those people with a lot of color to their face, but that's not necessarily what their skin tone is. So be really careful when you're doing hyperpigmentation because those different highlights can really just disguise hyperpigmentation. And here's the rule of thumb for that, okay? And I'm gonna put this in notes for you guys, I will. Common hyperpigmentation colors are a deep purple or like deep purpley colors or whatever. Sunlit is gonna help to counteract that. Something that's yellow, i.e. all of mascara colors. Amber works really well if the hyperpigmentation, if the spots are more brown, like freckles, because what that does is kind of bridges the gap. Amber is more of a deep warmth with those more red tones in it, and so it's gonna help to just kind of even it out, okay? And then June, if it's more red, and mango, if it's more blue or purple, okay? So those right there, again though, like I said, just because the face looks dark, don't jump to dark. It just might be the hyperpigmentation and they're fair. So try to look for true skin color on outer lying edges of their face, their under eye area, and work from there to just try to bring it to an even level where it disguises it. Amber is a really great one for also another troubleshooting, very common troubleshooting issue is melasma, okay? So melasma or a pregnancy mask is one that it can be really kind of scary. And oftentimes melasma looks very brown. And so, people say, I have a pregnancy mask, I have a mustache, whatever, because it will turn brown on their face. And so amber is great because it does have that nice deep amber color. So it will even out, and it just kind of brings everything from such a contrast of light and dark to a neutral place. But if amber is too dark, you're gonna have to color correct again to bring out that light, okay? This is also the same principle for sunspots or liver spots, age spots, whatever people like to call them. I think sunspots is the nicest. Everybody was like, liver spots. So if you can get that more brown looking color to kind of mimic those browner spots and then brighten up, okay? So don't forget that. So I am gonna do another layer of this. Ooh. Notice my black shirt. Ah, I keep dropping my computer. I'm gonna break it. All right, I'll stop sitting cross-legged. That's my problem, really, is that I always cross my legs. Okay. I'm like, everything's really precariously stacked because I'm hiding out in this bathroom. Okay, so while that happens, thank you, Amy. You're helping out though, you know? Okay, so I'm gonna talk now about a really common question, which is under eyes, under eye circles and under eye, like people will say bags and circles. Okay, so those are two different things, obviously. Lots of people have this dip here that you can kind of see with me. I'm so fair that everything just shows up really, really like dominantly. And so that's why I like to wear bronzer. Try not to breathe it in. Bronzer to even things out before I start. Okay, so when you're looking at a bag, that's gonna either be that puffy or whatever, or maybe it will be that sunken in, but it's a line right here. So that's why it looks, this is just, I don't really have bags, thank you, Milk, but it will puff up right there. So again, going right back to where I'm talking about contouring, where light brings forward and dark pushes back, this is a darkness here at that bag. So to counteract the bag, you're going to want to put a lighter color under your eyes. But what did I say? If I just put light color like under my whole eye, it's just going to create like a very light bag, a very light bag under my eyes. So what I want to do is make sure that I'm just putting that lighter color right here on. That's like way too much, but that's okay. On that more sunken in spot, that dip, because then the dip itself will disappear and you don't have that line. Okay, so see right here the difference where I have a line, a deeper line here, whereas this right here, the line has completely disappeared. Now it just looks bright, and too bright because I need to put like stuff on the other part of it, but it just looks bright. It's so awesome, okay? So that right there is the principle of highlighting and contouring in a really simple action. When it comes to your under eyes, one of the biggest problems is that we overcover. So we overcover, then the product won't stay. Okay, it's falling off under our eyes. Your eyes are very thin skin. It's the thinnest skin on your face, and it's not meant to just hold all of this product. So it's going to start sloughing off. You'll have that crepey look under your eyes and things like that. The best thing that you can do with a crepey under eye where there's lines through the eyes and stuff like that is try to massage kind of that highlight color, just a tiny bit of that highlight color into those bags, that like the crepes, the lines. You want to get it into the lines because you want to pop the lines out, okay? Instead of just putting on all of this product and then it starts creasing and it falls off, and especially if you're using a traditional concealer or foundation under your eyes, it's just going to crumble off. You guys, pretty much no concealer stays under people's eyes. No product stays under your eyes, okay? Everybody's is gonna crease. Everybody's is gonna need something The greatest part about mascara is that you can do something about it after the fact. You can go in and just lightly touch with your ring finger. Again, it's the thinnest skin, so you want to be really careful and be very delicate with it. But you can just go in and touch that up, and it's like you've put on fresh concealer. I could never do that with, you know, a cement concealer that I would normally put under the eyes, which never really stayed anyway. It's going to come off. It's just the way of under eyes. It's a very, like, I don't know, stuff doesn't stick. Okay, so then when you're dealing with discoloration, it depends on your discoloration, and this goes back to the color wheel. Have you seen, you know, purple under eyes, purple and blue? Yes, okay, so going back to, if it's blue that you're seeing, a lot of blue, directly across, yes, like everything, it doesn't matter what it is. Directly across the color wheel from blue is that yellow, okay? So sunlit is gonna look, sorry, directly across from blue, purple, directly across from purple is yellow. So sunlit would be great if you have that purple under eye look. But I'm talking about a teeny tiny touch. I'm talking like, here's mine right here, and I'm like, boop, that's enough. No more. You don't need more than that. You don't put that much on your face, you know, so why for this little teeny tiny area are we just piling it all in there? Just enough, and getting it in there and really, like I said, like massaging it into the skin under the eyes is plenty to really do a great job, and it's going to wear longer, especially with a wax base, not liquid cream foundation. If you have too much, it's gonna kind of just build up and fall off, okay? So just that teeny tiny bit is huge. The next thing is redness under the eyes, obviously something that's more neutral tone, like Moonlit, that's gonna be great. Lots of people have like that pink on top of their cheeks even after that, so that's why Moonlit looks so pretty under a lot of people's eyes. If you have, now if you have blue under your eyes, very, very blue, you're gonna wanna use something that's more of a orange tone, okay? So it needs to have that warmth. It needs to have yellow and red in it, okay? So everything has yellow in it, so you're gonna go to something that has some red in it. That's why in extreme cases, people will use something like, for starters, White Peach is a regular one for blue under eyes because it has that peach, that orange tone. And then Mango would be great for someone in an extreme case because that's very orange. I'm sure you guys have seen people put like red under their eyes, you know, like actual red pigment under their eyes. That is only needed in a very extreme case, like where you are really, really gaunt green. Then you could even use something like Ruby, you know, just a touch of it. So that's really extreme cases. As I said, everybody thinks that they have under eye bags that are just like so prominent and everybody's like, ew. No, you don't. I use a teeny tiny bit of my regular product and boom, it looks great, okay? So just remember that, okay? If they have that more brown, olivey under eye, that's like that deeper brown, amber is gonna be nice for that as well, okay? Because it's gonna meet it halfway, neutralize that. Again, you'll probably still have to try to touch something a little bit lighter over top of it if you're very fair. Amber is not often used as a highlight area, that's for sure. So, okay, so let's talk really fast about your contour or highlight. I tried to arrange these so that they all flow, you guys, but I'm just gonna speed along through these last ones here. Let's talk about your contour or your highlight looking ashy. This is generally the biggest problem for deeper skin tones, okay? But it's key to getting your colors correct when it comes to a deeper skin tone. I'm talking, you know, pretty much medium dark to the deepest dark. When you're working with deeper skin tones or darkest skin tones, remember what I said about the light bringing forward and the dark pushing back. So the skin is already very dark, and the darker pigmented highlights are mostly meant for highlight areas, okay? So if you go in and you're gonna put, like I said, just like for me, if I try to match these contour areas with something that's supposed to highlight my eyes and my, you know, my triangle of light, it's not gonna match. So it's not meant to go all over. And that's the same thing with a deep dark skin tone. If I am taking a bright light color and I'm putting it back here on someone who has darker skin, then it's just gonna appear ashy because it's going to take away a lot of that. It's just, you're taking away the job of the contour, and they already have built-in awesome contour, okay? So you really just wanna focus on brightening the areas that you want to brighten and pulling those forward. And don't be heavy-handed with your contour. The contour is gonna look ashy also, because our contours are very cool toned, and you're just taking away from the areas that are supposed to be warm. So lightly contour, the face is already very dark. Really focus on bringing out the light in the triangle of light, okay? For those of you who don't know, this is the triangle of light here, okay? I've seen everybody do the brush trick where they put their brushes. Guess I could do that. So that is the rule of thumb for doing. Don't be afraid of, you know, the darkest highlights and contours. Those are meant to be used lightly and for you to be able to focus more on adding color, like a beautiful vibrant blush, a beautiful vibrant eye color and things like that, lip colors, those types of things. Don't be confused when you used cinnamon all over someone's face and it looks ashy. You used it in the wrong areas. It's meant to go right here, okay? The next problem is your makeup staying on. So this is something that everybody talks about, and this is something that everybody can benefit from, because this is a much more common troubleshooting problem, okay? So as I said before, for the most part, skip the primer and see how things work out for starters, all right? So when you have the makeup not staying on, there's a couple of reasons that it could be doing this. The first reason is a lot of times is there's oily skin, really oily, and you're basically putting like a wax on top of an oil and it's just sliding off. So what you want to do is try to make that face more matte, okay? The first most easy thing to do is to spray on some Stay Spray, because that kind of makes it gives it an anti-slip, right? It's like getting a sticker and putting it there and then putting your foundation over top of it. The skin is so oily that it's just sliding. It's turned into like so slick. So try something like that. In extremely oily cases, you can use something like Becca Matte, I mean, there's tons of things out there, but Becca Matte is probably the most recommended for that. Then if you are in that same thing, when you have, let's see, if it's not oily skin, there's a lot of times that it's just too much product. Like I said, because it's a wax base and people are used to using a liquid foundation. I mean, I used to like pump my liquid foundation on, and then I would like scoop it up with this brush and just like smear it all over the place. That is just not what you want to do. So really judge that they might be using too much product because it's wax. So it's kind of, like I said, it builds up, it turns into like a slide, and it just goes, you know, right off of your face. So check your product amount as well. Take care of oiliness with possibly priming with something. And then also, if you need to use more product, you're feeling like, hey, you know, well, I try to use less, but I need more coverage. It means that you just need to change your color. And it's probably matching too much, and you need to go a little bit brighter for the most part. Now, also, it's very common for people to have your nose or your chin not stay on your nose and not stay on your chin. And the science behind that is a little bit like, what the heck? But a lot of times your nose is more oily, your chin is more oily. It's just those are areas where your pores are larger, you're sweating right there. So it can be tricky. One of the best things to try to do for that is to bring your highlight a shade darker, because that's going to help it meld a little bit better. You're not trying to cover up stuff so much. So bring that highlight shade a little bit darker, try a couple darker shades and see if that will actually stay on. And then you can highlight as needed. Another tip for that is to try exfoliating to try to help keep it from being such an oil slick on either of those spots, okay? So then going more and deeper into oily skin, a big reason why people have a problem with having oily skin or with cream foundations or anything like that, they get really nervous because they think that it's gonna look oily. Their face is gonna look shiny. And they're already like have PTSD of having oily skin their whole life. So that's the last thing that they want. So if they really want to do, you know, to have that matte look, there's nothing wrong with giving them some powder and letting them just, you know, mattify the area, okay, so that it doesn't look like that. And then what you want to do, the trick with that is to still get that glow. You want to use, you know, your vanilla dust or whatever, put it in those areas, but just in the highlight areas, okay? Those are the areas that get shiny anyway. So put it in those highlight areas, and then you're going to illuminate after that so that you can still have the dewy glow of mascara, but you don't have to worry about people being worried about that, like about it being shiny. That also can help the staying power. That's why these are like so connected with oily skin and your makeup not staying on. Okay, after you put on your powder or something, then using something like Stay Spray if needed and wanted, putting that on and having it just have that extra weight that locks it in. Again, it's that you primed with something to make it stay on there, and then you like sandwiched it with something else, okay? Oh yeah, no, I don't mean pre-application. Sorry if I'm being confusing. Set with that powder. So it's just once you're done with your highlight and your contour, then you can go in, and your blush if you want to, you can go in and put it in those highlight areas. That's why the Power Powder brush is so great, because you're not just like poofing it all over your face and making it cakey, because for the most part, when people are oily, they're oily in the highlight areas. They're not oily in the contour areas. Not that often. If you're really oily, you know, it's just kind of really hard. The other thing is that really bears being mentioned is that a oily face, your sebaceous glands, your oil producing glands, oftentimes are out of whack. There obviously are, because they're overproducing oils. Lots of times that's directly connected with your skin being dry. Your skin's trying to overcorrect for how dry it is. And so it's just like pouring out the oil from the sebaceous glands and really trying to hydrate your face. So balancing that out with milk, I have seen amazing things happen with milk, where people have used it, you know, the night before, and they get up the next day and their face is just like, thank you, I needed that drink, and I'll stop pouring out the oils, okay? Sometimes it can take months to regulate, but I really would recommend people at the core of oily skin, just so often it is that their face is just really dry. Speaking of dry skin, if you have really dry skin, I really recommend using a primer, because the makeup, no matter what color you get it right, it won't lay correctly and it won't look good. Oftentimes an illuminating primer is a great one for dry skin, because it seems to just really even out the uneven look of dry skin. Dry skin is just very patchy, and so an illuminating primer like Becca, what's that one called? Backlight, or Laura Mercier has a really great one for brightening, and that one is wonderful for dry skin, okay? Dry skin. So dry skin primer, oily skin primer, great. For the in-between, try just to go without primer at first. Then that will then you can put your highlight over it and it will look nice. If you have dry looking highlight and you don't have dry skin, this is another, everybody knows this probably for pretty much, because this is just a rule of thumb for mascara artists. Mascara tells on you if you have the wrong color, because it will look patchy and it will look dry. It will make your skin look dry, regardless of whether or not you do. That is because you don't have enough pigment, enough color essentially in that highlight color to make it look smooth on the color of your skin. So you need to go a little shade, probably a shade darker, try a shade darker. And then again, if you need to color correct to bring it back up to brightness, do that, okay? So the next one is acne. This is a huge topic. And for the most part, when it comes to acne, you're pretty good because mascara covers so well. The rule of thumb with acne, I don't have it terribly, but I have spots on my face, like I said, because my skin is so fair. So everything shows up, okay? So I look like I could be an acne candidate probably. One of the things that I like, instead of trying to use more product, make sure that you are buffing product into your skin, okay? So I will oftentimes, when it comes to acne, a lot of times they have hyperpigmentation issues as well. So you'll have acne, you'll have redness, and there's just all of this irritation, but what's below it is fair skin. So be careful to not, again, jump to a really dark highlight. So I would come in and kind of using this end of the 30-second hack, coming in and really getting it in to all of, like really buffing it into the surface of your skin. You can use the end of the B square. I love that brush. The 30-second hack is great, but I mean, that is a huge difference just in its own. It's really brightened it up a lot. Now, again, I don't need that all on the outskirts of my face there where my contour is supposed to go. Trying to keep this fresh, light, just a little bit. This is sunlit, and I am just really massaging it into my skin, okay? Sunlit can oftentimes look patchy. It's kind of a tricky one with that, but it's such a great color corrector. Just remember that it's because sunlit is so yellow. It's basically just bright. And so if you're needing color correction, if you have like a prominent color of like, I don't know, brown or something, it doesn't have enough other color pigments in it to really get it to where it needs to cover. So then it will look a little bit patchy. Okay, so mostly just focusing on the center of my face. I have already diminished so much of those spots because I am very cool toned. So if you can look right here, you can't even see that. My veins are so blue. I have a lot of blue. So that sunlit color is great for me. Can I wear sunlit before I put Tomas over my face? No, I can't. That would be very yellow looking. It counteracts really nicely with my cool undertones and makes my face look so bright, and it's great. But I have to bring my face to a shade darker so that it doesn't look like cake face and not highlighted, okay? So then when it comes to acne at the very end when I'm done with absolutely everything, and you guys, this is like so amazing. Again, I just obviously love mascara so much. When it comes to concealers, lots of times you have to use a color correcting concealer. You have to use a different color than your foundation. You know, it's different than your foundation. It's a different texture than your foundation. So sometimes it will like get dry around it and cakey. It's so weird. But this, you're just gonna use your same highlight color for the most part, unless you have like, I don't know, really, I don't know, weird color acne spots. But using a, oh, all right, I need a new detail hack. Using the detail hack, the end of the detail hack is great because instead of you just putting a spot on an acne spot, instead of just like putting a dot on it, because that's just too much foundation or too much highlight, I mean, instead you can use a brush like this that's diffusing of it, and you can tap it over and then it blends in, and then you can't see it anymore. There's not much that you can do about the texture, obviously. You know, you're still gonna have that textured look of acne if you have raised acne, but again, if you are being able to use your same highlight color is awesome, okay? So this is even still a little bit dark for me with the sunlit, okay? So I'm gonna keep going here. The next one is, like I said, with scarring and texture. Sorry, I kind of like bled into my other one. With scarring, that bright is going to bring those dips out. So if you have a very dark scar, like a very dominant scar, if it's just acne scarring, there's not so much that you can do about that, but you're evening it out, and that's nice. If it's a very dark scar or a very dominant scar, you're gonna wanna put that light on to pop it out, just like we did up here with my under eyes, so that way that dip pops right out, okay? So, oh, Amy's putting her notes in there again. I'm like, is this a question? Okay, so almost done, you guys. The next one is disappearing highlight and contour, or your contour, this is the last one, I guess, kind of, or your contour looking, you know, when your contour is the wrong color, okay? So disappearing highlight is the wrong color. We already went over that. Disappearing contour is also the wrong color, but why? So if you go too warm on a contour, it's gonna kind of blend into the warmth of your face for the most part, if it's too light. If you go too warm on a contour when it is, when your face is, when your undertones, I guess I should say, when your natural shadows are really cool toned, it's gonna look really orange. So finding that contour here, you can see, if you look at the natural shadows on my face, they're very cool toned. Again, like I said, I'm very cool toned. Just looking at my veins, you can see that. And so I wanna use a cooler toned contour, like ash. But if I'm too warm and I use a really cool toned contour, I'm gonna like look like Maleficent or something, you know, with my cheekbones like so sucked in and everything, because that is just too, shadow is exactly what it is. It looks like a natural shadow. So you've just created such a like pigmented shadow. You gotta be really careful with using something like that, because it's gonna make you look really gaunt, okay? If people already have that kind of gaunt look to their face, and I would say gaunt usually suggests, because someone was like, what is gaunt? And I'm like, gaunt usually suggests that it's looking kind of bony. The cheeks maybe look a little more sunken in, the eyes maybe look a little more sunken in. So that person already has a lot of natural shadows on their face. They already have a lot of natural, what am I looking for? A natural cool tone to their face. So if you go and you put on contour and it is a cool toned contour, which all of our contours are a lot more cool toned than the regular, then you're just going to make their face look more bony, and you're gonna make it look more like their cheekbones protrude more than they already do, and their cheeks look sunken in, and nobody wants to look like their cheeks are sunken in. They want to look fresh and awake and all those things. So there are times when it's important for you to skip contour for people, because they already have enough contours in their face to the point where they are you really just want to warm up their face. So in that case, Bella bronzer is amazing. You can contour with something that is, you could contour with something that's a lot more warm, so that way you warm them up, but it might not match because they have such cool toned contours already to their face. So going in and putting more contours in, even with a warm one, is just gonna make it look like it's orange and dirty. So make sure that instead you just take that Bella bronzer and just go to town with it, and it's going to breathe like so much beautiful just life into their face. You're already putting that beautiful highlight on that's warm, and it's just so nice. And then you're going in with a contour, or sorry, with Bella, and you're really just bringing forth all of that brightness because you're not putting Bella on the center of your face. Don't do that. So I hope that that makes sense. That's kind of like one that I struggle to word exactly because I think that pictures are important, and I don't have pictures to show for this because it was just complicated to try to show pictures and be live. I know there's probably a lot of questions, and you're welcome to put questions in the comments, you guys. What I want you to do today, I hope that you remember the principle of all of this, that it's really exciting. It's not scary. It's not complicated. It's not, overwhelming. It's exciting. And getting to that powerful question, the why of like, why does this work? That's going to really open up your passions and help you understand, what you already have a passion for, what you're already doing, and be able to teach other people and be able to share your knowledge and educate your customers as well as give them what they want and make them feel really happy with their choices. If you guys have any other questions, like I said, please put it into the comments. I hope that I've covered things today. I hope I haven't skipped anything. And I know that I probably touched on like too much. So there you go. This is a crazy subject, but it's really fun and really exciting for the most part, you guys. Color matching, makeup, a lot of it is just your creativity, and you can just let your creative goddess go wild. But there is a lot of really, there are foundational rules, and that is what troubleshooting is based upon, is those rules, those scientific rules and laws of color. So having those 6 colors memorized and their adjacent colors as well is going to really help you to master this in your mind and know where to go, okay? Homework today is I want you to take one of these principles, and I'm gonna put each principle up in the, because I don't want you to have to watch the whole live all over again. I'm going to take one of these principles, all the principles, I'll put them up there. So one of the topics, I should say, not principles, but I want you to take one of the topics that we touched on, and for either you or for a family member or a friend or whatever else, just try it out. And then I want you to please go and post your picture in the comments, your before, what you've done before, and then your after when you tried this out, just to see what your results are, okay? And then that's something that I think it would be good to talk about it on social media, but I kind of got some opinions about that because I know that that's like tricky, and we really want to put forth that we're learning new things. So posting about it on social media is up to you, but I would really like you to practice just one of these tricks and tips that you've learned today. And I would like to have a little sentence about it, and your before, what you've done, and your after, if you have a before, okay? I realize not everybody's gonna have a before on like a customer or something like that, okay? Thank you guys so much for listening. For anybody who stayed on this long, my gosh, you win a gold medal. And thank you guys. All right, and I love you all. Thank you for the opportunity to talk, and have a great rest of beauty school. And make sure that you stay attentive and you share all of these things, okay? Talk to you later.